Okay, let's go through what we got out of the box. And one of the first things you're going to see is this piece right here. And it gives you instructions to go online and download the manual. So it doesn't come with a manual. And then this is basically the safety stuff to tell you be careful and all that. So that's the first thing you'll see. I went ahead and downloaded the manual and printed it out. So there it is. And I kind of browsed through it. They've done a little bit better job in this manual of explaining the different needles that you use for fabrics, which is something I didn't see in the other manuals. So I think they're kind of learning that they need to explain things a little bit better. Anyway, so let's go through. Got a power cord, foot pedal, and a cover. It comes with a walking foot. That's good. So let me see here. It's got a bobbin of thread up here on the top, and they've pre-threaded the machine for you, I guess, to get you going quickly. I need to remove this off of there before I start doing my test sewing. Anyway, so let's raise the foot. There's a 25% off coupon for buying something off their site. And this looks like just a quick start guide to get you going, to getting it threaded, bobbin threaded, winding a bobbin, inserting a bobbin and all that. So you've got one bobbin up here on top they've used to thread it with. And you got the cap for holding it in. And you got a pre-wound bobbin already in here ready to go for you to start stitching. So I see what they've done. They've basically pre-threaded it for you to get you started successfully. See what it comes with. Got 2 extra bobbins. These are class 15 plastic, and that's what you want to use. You don't want to use the metal bobbins, they warp easily. Plastic ones are smoother too, so the thread can slip around it. You've got 3 size 14 needles, 90-14 for those of you in Europe. This is a foot that they call the So Easy foot because it has a seam allowance guide on it. So you can pull that out to your seam allowance and line it up. You'll get perfect seam allowances every time. It's already got the generic foot on it. It's a zipper foot. Move your needle on the right and left side depending on which side you want to sew it on. That is the blind hem foot. Now, hang on. It looks like the overcast foot. That's the F foot. Let me see what the F foot is. They tell you in the manual. Okay, that's the blind hem foot. Got 2 clear feet here. Let's see, the A1 is the satin foot, which is this one. And this one is just the open toe foot. And they're both smooth on the bottom. This has metal on the bottom of it. This one is just smooth plastic. It's your cording foot. It's for sewing a button on foot. Your buttonhole foot. Your vertically wound thread foot that goes up here on the top of the machine. This will slip into, I think there's a hole on, yeah, there's a hole in the post here. You can slide this through and do wide seam allowances on the regular foot for cleaning out your bobbin. And this is for getting the screws out on the faceplate. So anyway, that shows you what it comes with. It comes with quite a few feet. I'm very happy to see that they're shipping it with a walking foot now, because to be honest with you, you really need a walking foot, especially if you're going to do any kind of quilting, but they're good for just about everything to help keep the fabric lined up nicely. Okay, got all that taken care of now, so let's get everything set up and we'll start going through and doing some test stitches on it on some various fabrics. I'm going to use some light knits. I'll use a stretch needle on that. We'll do our jeans hem test, obviously with a denim needle, a size 16 denim needle. And then we'll do just some regular sewing on some upholstery fabric. It's a little bit heavier to kind of see how it does on that. I kind of expect it to have the same motor as the regular heavy duty machines have, but we'll test it and kind of see what it does. So let's get started on that next. Okay, I wanted to show you guys real quickly here. It looks like they've got an LED light in here, so it's a little bit brighter than the old light. And down here they have stitch guides that are easy to access. So that's a nice touch. So you don't have to get up and look at the manual now. There's 3 of them in here. So 1, 2, 3. Push them back in there. And everything else looks good. So let me grab the needles and the fabric that I'm going to use. So I wanted to show you that first. And then I'll kind of go through the front of the machine and what they're offering on it too. So let me do that next. Okay, I just wanted to show you the front side of the machine. Some welcomed additions here, obviously. This is for the needle up and down. So it'll stop with it down or it'll stop with it up. This is for tying off the stitch at the beginning. You may do it at the end. I haven't read the manual, but when I test it, we'll see if it does it both at the beginning and at the end. There's the new thread cutting feature, which is very nice. And this is very welcomed on this edition because we have a speed control now. So I'll be testing it at the slowest speed. I may show you what it's like when we go through all the way to the top speed, which is probably what it was before. Very fast. And over here you've got quick stitches that you can select, and the 1 through 0, 0 being the buttonhole. I see a blind hem, multi step zigzag, and all that on here. Left needle, left position, center position, and that looks like the stretch stitch there. And then these up here are going to have to do with saving stitch patterns and reversing them and all that, so I'm not going to get into that right now, but it's got a memory function. I see a trash can on there, and this will set your length of your stitch, and this will set your width of your stitch, it looks like. And that's a memory button. That's a little diskette save button, it looks like. Everything else on top looks the same as what the previous line of Singer heavy duties do. And so anyway, I'm going to get the fabric out and show you what that is, and show you what we're going to test. So let me get to that next. I've got an assortment of needles that we'll try to do a true test of it, and we'll see how it sews. Okay, we're going to start with this woven fabric that I've got here that I made some pants for a client, and we've got the default needle in, which is size 14. I've got let's see what thread I've got in there. Look on the spool. It is T40 or text 50 is the size thread that's in the machine. So let's go ahead and see how it does here. I've put the needle in the down position, and I'm going to do a little bit of back stitch first. And we're off. On the slowest speed with the foot all the way down. So you can see it slows at a nice slow speed. And you can always speed it up if you want it faster. Go ahead and speed it up a little bit. Sounds different than the mechanical machines. It's a little bit smoother and a little bit quieter. Back stitch. Cut the thread. Let's have a look at our stitches here. They look good on the top. And they look good on the bottom. They're nice and straight and even all the way through. So that did real good. Let's go ahead and move over to the upholstery fabric. So this will be a little bit thicker fabric. I'm going to see if it leaves enough of a thread tail here to do a stitch. Yep. I'm going to go and lengthen my stitch to 3.5. Let's go a little bit longer. Alright. I went ahead and sewed that off there to show you how it won't tangle if you sew off of your fabric. So these kind of bobbin systems are good about not tangling up when you sew without anything under the foot. Okay, there's that. There's that side, so it looks real good. And my tension's set on 4 when I'm doing this, which is the default tension setting. Okay, I've got those two. Let's go ahead and try the flannel and see how it does with flannel. I'd use a walking foot with this too. This stuff can tend to kind of stretch and ball up and stuff when you're trying to get stitches on it. So, all right, here we go. Stitch length is still 3.5. And use the cutter. Stitches look good on the front and back on the flannel. So this is probably what I call medium weight flannel. That shows you the thickness of it there. So did that good. Okay, let me change to a stretch needle real quick, and we will do the slinky knit fabric here and see how that does. So let me do that real quick. I'll leave the same thread in and we'll give it a try. So I'll be right back. Okay, I've got a stretch needle in. We're going to try this slinky knit, very thin knit material here. See how it does. It's a size 11 stretch needle, so the thread is thin, so it kind of goes along with it. Okay. Okay, here we go. There's our stitch. I did a stitch length of 4, which is probably a little long for that, but it still looks nice. Good even stitch. Let me go back down to a stitch length of 2.5, which will be a little bit more normal. Let's see what we get. Over here. Alright, here we go. slowed it down to its slowest speed. Okay, there's a smaller stitch. Looks good. Don't really have any puckering of the fabric. And what little there is, pressing will press out. So A+ on stretch knit. Again, I use stretch needles instead of ballpoint because they're ballpoint. They have a bigger eye, and I think it helps form the stitch better. So, okay, done that. Okay, we've got the denim needle installed. It's a Smith size 16 jeans needle. It's that one right there. And I've got my T80 thread. So it's a thicker thread. You can get it off Wall Whack. It's a jeans, or it's the Levi's jeans color thread is what it is. Anyway, you'll find it on their site. I got a piece of fabric under the foot here to try to help level it. I don't like using the little pin because it doesn't allow anything under the foot to help the feed dogs feed the fabric through. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate the hand wheel here on the first stitch and get a stitch in. See that it's feeding. Pick this up and put it back under the foot. And I'm afraid that foot's not going down far enough to form a good stitch to have tension on the thread. So let me try here and see what it does. Yeah, it's grunting a little bit. Yep, that's a stepper motor on these DC motors. So I'm just going to rotate the hand wheel. Oh, it broke the thread. So that's not good. Let me see if I can get it rethreaded here. Just a little bit more thread. Yeah, see, I'm pulling on that thread. Let me see what's going on here with the tension. It doesn't feel like it's got any tension at all. I don't know if that even looped. Alright, I'm going to give it one more try and see if it will work. Getting low on bobbin thread in this thread color, so either this works or it doesn't. Alright, so there's the foot down, that's with it up, and the problem is it's up so high to get over this hump that I don't think it's going to have any tension on it. So let me get this under the foot, go ahead and lower the foot, and it doesn't feel like it has any tension on it, so here we go, let's see what happens. Well, it made it over it. We'll look and see in just a minute if the tension's any good. Go to a length of 3.5. I was at 2.5. Should have gone to 3.5 at the beginning. No, it did okay. It's just the stitches are too close together right there, but it made it through that, so it's got decent power. I don't think it's quite as strong as what the mechanical machines are. Just I can kind of tell from the motor it's in it that it's not going to be as strong. This will tell me what's going on here because this is the surge seam, and the mechanical machines will go right over this without any problem at all. So let's see what it does. Yep, it went over it. Turn the speed up here. Keeping my hem up enough here. It's gonna look like crap because I wasn't keeping my hem turned up. Okay, we're coming back around. Let me go ahead and cut these threads. We're going to go back over this now with a longer stitch and see what it will do. Okay, now it's starting to catch on this area right here. So let me see if I can get the foot up a little bit. Okay, foot is back down. It feels like it's raised though, so let's see what it does with the tension. This is the area where you really have to help it feed because it's coming up on that hump. That made it down. There's a couple of areas in this hem that are really hard. See if I can feed it. There it went. It fed it once it got under the foot. Yeah, I just say on this one, if you're gonna, people don't really wear jeans this thick anymore. I think if you're gonna hem on these, you're probably gonna have to use your hand to get it through the first few stitches on this side seam, the flat felled side seam, and that's not that big of a deal. And then you should be able to go around the rest of the way and get it hemmed. Now you can see where I went kind of crazy right there, but yeah, the stitch looks fine, and it looks good on the top too. So that's just with it at 5. Okay, I guess my opinion on this, it's not as strong as what the mechanical machines are, and I didn't really expect it to be, but I wanted to see what we could do with it, and that shows you what you can do with it there. Okay, let me get changed out to the nylon thread, and we will do this first, and then we'll do the leather, sew the leather test after that. So let me do that real quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, we've got the V69 bonded nylon thread in. I've let this size 16 denim needle in, and this is umbrella fabric. We're gonna try to sew it. I use this to make a grill cover that I have. So let's give this a try and see how it does. Take stitch length to 4. Tell the thread's a little bit stiffer by the noise it's making as it pulls it around the bobbin case. See if I can cut it. Nope, it didn't cut it. I didn't expect it to. Thread's a lot tougher. Okay, top stitch looks good. Bottom's a little bit loose. I was only on tension setting is 6, but really when you start sewing with this heavier thread, you probably need to tighten the bobbin up some. But the good news is with this new bobbin system, it's a lot less trouble sewing with this style thread than it was in the mechanical machines with the bobbin system they had. This one comes around, locks it down real nicely. That allows it to feed that first stitch better, where sometimes on the other one it would come around and feed off this side of it. So anyway, so that looks good. Again, I would adjust the tension on the bobbin to make the bottom look more like this. And I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and tighten the top up to 7 and do another test. Let's see what it does. See if it makes any difference at all. No, there's not much difference. It's a little bit tighter, but you really don't have the stitch look like this. On my industrial machines, when I sew this kind of stuff, it looks the same on both sides, but the tension in the bobbin's a lot tighter. So I just tighten up the tension in the bobbin, and that would probably look good. Okay, we've got that. Let me change the needle out and put the leather needle in, and we'll test the leather next. Okay, I've got a machine threaded up with a V69 nylon thread, and got it in the bobbin and in the needle. I'm going to increase my tension to 5, and we're going to sew. I've also got a size 18 leather needle installed. So I normally use a walking foot, but for testing purposes on this, I'm just going to see if it'll sew it. Walking foot would be better, either that or a plastic Teflon foot or something like that where the leather would slide. You can also use tape, Scotch tape underneath your foot, and that'll help too. So here we go. Increase my stitch length to 4.5 of the longest stitch. And it seems to be sewing it just fine. Yeah, that did real well. There's our stitch quality. And this will tell me if I need to tighten the bobbin tension some. Yeah, you'd want to tighten the tension a little bit since you can see the thread, but it wouldn't take much. Maybe just the top tension just a little bit more would be just perfect. But that shows you that it will use bonded nylon without any problem at all, so that's good. Okay, that's gonna. All right, that concludes our testing. Let me give you my overall opinion of what we have here. This machine is going to be a little bit less powerful than what the mechanical machines are. So you saw in the jeans hem where it did that shuddering sound. I've never had that with the mechanical machines on that same leg that I hemmed, and they were a little bit more powerful. It did do a better job though on handling the bonded nylon thread than what those machines do. So, and this machine has the benefit of the needle up and down, cutting the thread, speed control, and a bunch of other electronic stitches. So in that regard, it's better, and you get more options with it. So I wouldn't hesitate to add it. And just knowing that if you ever hem an old pair of Levi's like I just tested, you may have to crank the hand wheel to get it over that flat felled seam, and that's no big deal because it'll work its way through it as you do it. And then you have all these other benefits added to it, and so I think it's a good little machine for the price. I paid $2.99 for this one, and they hover around $2.99 to $29, somewhere in there, and I think it's a good value for what they have here. So I'm actually quite happy with it. So take that for what it's worth, guys, and if you have any additional questions, go ahead and post them, and I'll be happy to answer them to the best of my ability. I do travel quite a bit, and so sometimes it can take me a couple or 3 days to get back to you if I'm on the road for extended time, so keep that in mind when you ask your questions, but generally I'll get back to you as soon as I can. That's it for now. Take care.